All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this very special meeting. For the first time in Gauteng, we are very privileged to welcome you to a dedicated long-term care event. You know, for the last 20 years, we've been involved in the hospital business, attending exhibitions, and 4 years ago, we realized that the aged care sector in South Africa needed to be helped. And in the last 4 years, we've really brought about great changes with people that are receptive to quality improvement planning. As industry experts, key opinion leaders, decision makers, managers, and care partners on the front line, today we all acknowledge the role that we can play to improve the quality and effectiveness of care for our residents and caregivers. My name is Steve Drennan, and together with my colleagues from across South Africa, we're privileged to host this meeting today. For me, what is important about today is our vision to improve. We need to look at how things looked 10 years ago, how they look today, and more importantly, how they're going to look tomorrow. And Arjo are here to partner with you to walk this journey together. Nothing motivates me more than to have a common cause. And with all of you being here today, shows that you are interested in improving the way that you go about providing care. So today we're going to be joined by a number of key opinion leaders, and we hope that it gets you thinking about how you can do things differently going forwards. So with that said, we warmly welcome you, excuse the pun. Thank you for being part of our day, and we really look forward to spending it with you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Danielle Kemp. I am taking care of the long-term care and home care sector in the Western Cape. So welcome from my side. I really hope you enjoy today. Then there's just a little bit of housekeeping that we need to take care of. So we will try to keep ahead of the schedule today because it's going to be a long day and we want you to get in all the information. So we ask that you return quickly when we ask you to return back to the halls. And please switch off your phones or put it on silent just to not interrupt the speakers. Okay, so, and we want you to keep your belongings with you at all times. So when you leave the hall, keep it with you, and when you come back, because we can't, what is the English word for it? I'm very Afrikaans. Yes, just to keep it safe and to guarantee your seat is not guaranteed. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, so enjoy. Our first speaker of today is Lauren Lovegrove. She is a board-certified behavior analyst with 13 years of experience in training and developing teams who support people on the autism spectrum. During the 10 years she spent in the United Kingdom, Lauren worked within educational institutions directly supporting and training teams around her clients. She is incredibly passionate and empowering these clients and the teams around to create fuller lives for all. By focusing on her motivation to spread the word about behavioral analysis and interventions, she has been able to put her board certification, master's degree, and applied behavior analysis and a psychology honors degree to good use. Welcome, Lauren. We are so happy to have you here, and we look forward to hear what you have to say.
Guys, I'm sorry, we've jumped the gun a little bit. We've got a video to show you first. It's just 8 minutes, and it summarizes what Arjo are trying to do in the aged care space in South Africa. So, sorry, Lauren. 8 minutes.
With over 60 years of experience caring for long-term care residents and healthcare professionals, as the mobility experts, people look to us to shape a better future, where healthcare professionals are empowered to drive healthier outcomes for their business and the countless people that depend on them. People are made to move. With the right equipment, environment, and skills, we have the confidence to always deliver quality care today and tomorrow. The positive aid philosophy is at the core of our approach, addressing both the body and mind aspects of mobility to optimize care and to bring a positive outcome. It is the combination of the right environment, equipment, and care skills that promotes resident independence and maximum participation in activities of daily living according to their individual mobility and cognitive capabilities. Caring for long-term care residents can be incredibly rewarding, but also complex. Supporting residents' mobility in everyday activities around the clock can be challenging. At Arjo, we create solutions that improve quality of life for residents in long-term care. The Arjo Mobility Gallery is a globally recognized tool to assess and manage the various daily challenges. Toileting and hygiene routines can be safe, effective, and easy. Slips and falls, carer injuries, and pressure injuries can be prevented. The Mobility Gallery allows you to measure your residents' abilities and guides you to use the right solution to enable safe and dignified moving and handling across the mobility spectrum. The Mobility Gallery is based on 5 typical people you may find within a care facility and describes 5 different functional mobility level classes, from Albert to Emma. So, let's meet the residents. Albert is able to perform transfers and daily activities independently, but may need a walking stick. It is very important to promote Albert's mobility and to maintain his level of independence. Barbara is partly capable of performing daily activities independently, but does need supervision and support, along with the use of functional equipment, for example, a walking frame. Carl needs moderate assistance to enable him to perform daily activities, mobility, and transfers. However, he is able to contribute to the tasks or transfers and perform part of the action independently. Doris is unable to weight bear, but is able to sit up in bed or in a chair if she is well supported. Doris is dependent on the carer in most situations, which puts the carer at risk of injury. Emma is always fully dependent on the carer for all aspects related to mobility, transfers, and also personal care. Using the Mobility Gallery to classify and communicate functional mobility can help you make the right choices and tailor their care and support to meet the residents' needs and choices.
At Arjo, we believe in developing working partnerships. We encourage a specific process to achieve a joint vision towards quality improvement and person-centered care. Using a series of assessment services, we can assist you to evaluate your current assets, your working environment, and your residents' mobility profiles. We develop insight reports and recommendations of how to improve over time. Arjo are here to support you and guide you through your 5 to 10 year quality improvement journey.
When I think of the elderly and moving, I think to be able to do whatever we can to give them the most movement they can at the time of their life, to encourage them to move, to make movement easier, to improve their life because they can move and do as much as they possibly can. Well, I think in particular working in care of the elderly, I realised that the responsibility is enormous because I'm responsible for almost as many staff and the families. Families are a huge part, especially in dementia care. Arjo's been a tremendous help for us right from the very beginning, introducing us to the Nordic chair and making such a difference in our care here, to all of the equipment that they've then shown us, the way that they've helped us with training, because we know that with our staff, they need to be trained sometimes over and over again to realize the benefits.
A great day at work is to see my residents happy, teamwork, we're working together, no misunderstanding, as long as they are happy.
To care about people
to help people, our residents. The movement is very important.
Taking our resident outside, swimming, having braai, working as a team. Most of them on here at Rail Care, they are not walking properly. Some of them, they are frail.
Some of them, they don't want to shower since they are dementia. So it's not easy for them to go to shower, but we used to calm them down, to give them time. Then at the end of the day, they do go to the shower.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say my staff are amazing. We have kind, resourceful, fun people to work who are always ready to go the extra mile and always delighted to try new things, including new equipment.
A service study is more easier when we are transferring them from bed to the dining hall than a wheelchair.
It saves our bags. You can reduce up to a level so that you can help the resident. If you want to put it down, you put it down so that you can easy to put them back to bed.
Originally, when we heard about the Nordic Wellness Chair, we thought it would be nice to have. We then had a 2.5-week trial, and we did a very detailed trial of 10 people. It was astonishing. Every single person, there was a dramatic change. We reduced antipsychotic medication with 2 people that bent over double, walked up straight, other people that had involuntary vocalizing, they couldn't stop making noise all day, stopped.
One of my residents, those relaxed chair, it helped him a lot.
That one I can say is fantastic. Some of them, they come here not working, but once you take them to that chair, keep them relaxed, reflect. After a few hours, you can see the difference.
Empowering movement to me is when I can help those who can't help themselves.
Arjo has an architects and planners portal to assist you with spatial planning for existing structures as well as new projects. We know that by investing in space, you can have a more effective care environment, which in turn leads to reduced costs. Arjo is an original equipment manufacturer, which means we make, service and support all of the equipment that we provide. This gives you peace of mind your equipment is always functioning optimally, giving you the quality outcomes you have invested in. Our product range includes in-bed care, moving and handling, hygiene, seating, dementia care, and rental and leasing of equipment. Mobility is at the very core of who we are. Arjo develops and manufactures medical devices and solutions for the care of people affected by reduced mobility and age-related illness. We have 100 dedicated employees supporting long-term care throughout South Africa. Today, the need and cost for quality care is rapidly increasing, forcing healthcare professionals to do more with less. Having the right partner to help solve these growing challenges is key. With Arjo as a partner, you have access to the right tools and expertise to drive positive health outcomes for your residents, deliver a higher level of safety for your carers, as well as improved financial outcomes for your facility. Join us today to create quality moments for your residents and staff. This is Arjo, empowering movement.
So,
I click.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I don't know, can you hear me on the... I'm quite loud, so you don't have to worry. You will definitely hear me. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about dementia and behavioural interventions and how to support people with dementia using behavioural interventions, because as I'm sure you see a lot of different behaviours, and understanding them is actually key. So, my name's Lauren Lovegrove, and some of the objectives of the things I'll be talking about today. So I'm going to speak a little bit about behavioural interventions and how it works with dementia and some of the research that's been done. I'm going to talk a little bit about behaviour analysis and interventions, which is my field of specialisation. Talk a little bit about functions of behaviour, and I'll explain that later, so don't worry if that seems unusual to you now. And apologies, I do talk quickly and I do get excited when I talk. So if I'm talking too quickly, put your hand up and say, you need to say that again, please, Lauren, because I do tend to get excited about what I'm talking about. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about goals and planning and how we can do that and how we can help ourselves map out a plan, and talking a little bit about increasing engagement by using equipment and training. Okay, and I'm going to summarize it all, and then there's going to be time for questions. Okay, does that sound doable for everybody? Cool. Okay, so before we start, I thought I'd give you a bit of behavioral terminology that I'm going to use. I know you understand these topics or what these things mean, but how I'm going to talk about them, what I mean when I say them. So when I'm talking about behavior, it's anything a person does, actions. I'm not talking about negative things. It's just what we do. Everything that's observable, what we can see, okay? I can't tell what's going on inside other people. I can only tell what you are showing me, okay? And how I figure out why you might be doing that is very important. When I say the environment, I mean everything that you come into contact with, okay? So the environment could be other people, it could be sounds, it could be places, it could be noises. It's a whole bunch of things that have an impact on our behavior, okay? And reinforcement. So when I say reinforcement, I mean anything that strengthens a behavior. So something is strengthening this behavior. We're not sure what it is. Something's reinforcing it, okay? And behavior is a result of interaction with someone, with their environment. Okay, so that's not saying that what we're doing is wrong or right, but we have to understand that what we are doing is going to have an impact on other people. And what other people are doing is going to have an impact on us. Okay, because we're in the environment and we're interacting and our behavior is being influenced by that. So, the behavior and its environment. So, behavior doesn't occur in a vacuum. Things aren't just happening out of the blue for no reason. We may not understand it, but it is occurring for a reason. And it's our job to try and figure out why it might be. And if we look at it clearly, we probably will find it. And hopefully by the end of today, you'll have some more understanding of common types of reasons why behaviors occur. Okay? And again, not to say blame but if behavior is increasing, someone or something is reinforcing it. Something is having an impact on it and strengthening that behavior. So if we're seeing more of it, something's impacting it. Okay? So you're probably thinking, why has a behaviorist come to talk to us? Why behavioral interventions? So I thought I'd give you a little bit of research that I did about how we've used behavioral interventions to help people with dementia. Okay, so there's a lot of research out there. There's some references at the end. If you wanted to have a look at it, it's up to you. Some of the papers are clinical, so they're not very exciting to read, but they're interesting for me because I need to have the evidence to show that what I do is going to have an impact on other people. Okay, so I've got a quote, and it's quite a long quote, so I'll try and summarize, by Buchanan for 2006. Okay, so managing difficult behaviors is one of the challenges we face in the field of dementia, okay, because we have cognitive and physical decline. Okay, it happens all the time, unfortunately. And one of the goals of behavioral interventions is to maintain your level of functioning. Okay, not necessarily to always teach new behaviors, but if you can do certain things, we want to make sure that you can still do them and do them with confidence. And if you can't, this is how we start building up those skills, or we support you in the right way, okay? Our behavior, what we are doing, okay? And prevent problem behavior. So there's our problem in there. So that's when I say problem behaviors, these are the ones that aren't nice. The ones where people are shouting or screaming or throwing, okay? So behavior is a neutral term. Anything we do, anything that's observable. Problem behaviors are the things that we don't like, and we all do them. We're not innocent. Everybody has a bad day and does these things, so everyone can relate to it. And also increasing access to reinforcers. Okay, reinforcers in this context, I mean more things that you like, things that make you happy, things that you enjoy. Okay, increasing engagement. It's one of the issues we face in the field of dementia. Disengaged people that don't want to engage with things. Okay. And I'll talk a little bit later about a paper that I found that actually was really successful and actually a really simple procedure. And behavior analysts and people that understand behavioral interventions have been able to support these people to be able to do this. Okay, so I thought I'd mention a little bit about behavioral analysis and behavior interventions and what it means, its values, its pillars, etc. So it's innately positive. So it's always looking at things in a positive way. I'm not going to say to you, don't run, I'm going to say, walk with me. The phrasing is always positive. What I want you to do, not what I don't want you to do, because I want you to focus on what we should be doing, not what we shouldn't be doing, okay? So using things that you enjoy, motivating things, okay? Also very good at spotting them or finding them. This sounds like it's easy, it's not, okay? Sometimes people hide what they like from us, or they're not able to tell us. So we have to observe them or watch them or sit with them for a bit and try and see what you're interested in. You know, spend some time with them, invest in them, okay? It's definitely more proactive. So I'm not waiting for opportunities to present. I'm not waiting for an opportunity to maintain a skill or teach you something. I'm going to present that opportunity. I'm going to create it, okay? If you're learning to, or you're maintaining to wash your hands, oh no, your hands look a little bit dirty. We need to go wash them, okay? Or we did some painting, or we're doing something over here, our hands are a bit dirty. Let's go and wash those hands, okay? So I'm creating opportunities. I'm not always just once a day we do something because, you know, because the more we maintain it, the more we practice it, the better we're going to be at it, okay? And sometimes we don't see those results immediately, and that can be frustrating, but it's worth a try, okay? I think also it's very much focused on the holistic view of someone. Okay, so a whole picture. I want a whole picture of you. I don't want to just know what this box looks like over here. And it's individualized. So what works for me is not going to work for Steve because we're different. We like different things. We find different things irritating. So we are all different. And that is very important to understand and to know how to navigate that. And it can be very tricky, you know, to try and, again, spot what people like, assess their motivation, use that to help them access those things and feel more engaged with things, okay? It's also very much outcomes or goal-based interventions. I'm looking at long-term, where we're going to be, how we're going to get there. But I need to have that in mind, because if I don't remember where we're going, I'm going to be lost with where we are. So it's very important we have a long-term thing to look at, okay? Some kind of outcome. What's the best case for this? What can we expect to, where we're going to go? And how are we all going to get there together? How are we going to support each other to get there? And there's a lot of evidence, okay? It's something like, especially in the field of autism, something like 15,000 papers or something to evidence that the practices we do are showing results, okay? We don't talk about things we can't evidence. There's no point. It's just my opinion. I could tell you anything. Oh, yeah, I did this, and this was amazing. But if I've got evidence to go, here we go, look at this. I taught this person this, and this. Here's the graph to show that I did it. Here's the information. You're probably more likely to believe me, okay? And definitely investing in other people. We need to be training other people on strategies that are successful. It's all very well 3 people knowing how to do it. If those 3 people do it, fantastic, high five for you. But what about everybody else? How are we going to make sure that there's consistency for everybody so we have more successful residents and more successful staff? We'll feel good about what we do because we're actually consistently doing the same kind of thing. Okay, so training others is a huge part of what I do. It's basically all I do. So I worked a lot on my own, in school being trained, and then I went out into the world and was like, I want to tell people about this amazing stuff I know, so I can help others. Otherwise, I just know it. That's great. And I can help 5 people, but if I can help those 5 people help 5 people and carry on, sure, where could we end up? Okay, so I thought I'd just put up here for you about the different areas which behavioural interventions and its application. So it's not just dementia and autism. Okay, it's not just education. Environmental. So you know when you go into the hotel room and there's that little thing on the wall that says, please don't put your towel on the floor if you want to use it again, because we're trying to save water. Okay, it's behavioural interventions. It's going, please do this nice thing, and then you'll feel good about it. Okay, look, I helped the environment today. Yay. Okay, it's all behavioural stuff. We looked at people, we looked at what they were doing. It's too much towel washing, too much water being used. How can we invite people to go on this journey with us to save water? Okay, little small thing, but it does have a huge impact because you feel guilty. I do. Sometimes I forget to hang, or I have the towel falls down and I get a new one. I go, oh no, because I'm big into environmental things. I've got my bottle, my reusable bottle, and my non-disposable cup for all my tea drinking. Okay, so also in criminal forensics, health and fitness, parenting, education's massive. I come from a sector of education, so it's being used a lot and should be used a lot. There's a lot of focus on, again, what people shouldn't be doing, what kids shouldn't be doing. It's like, well, what are we expecting to do if we don't tell them? Okay, we need to tell you what's expected of you, and then we need to show you. Okay, so I thought I'd mention the positive 8 because it spoke to me about similarities in things that I do, okay, and looking at a holistic person. So looking at someone holistically and showing how everything fits together. So I really like this one, and I've got a little bit of notes here to go on that. I'm just going to put them all up because it's a bit confusing otherwise. So we've got very small, sorry. So I'm going to look at mine. Mobility, so stimulating, maintaining mobility. So I can't do half of the things I need to do if I can't get someone moving. So it's very important that someone's able to be mobile in some way, and then my behavior interventions can really shine. Okay, the quality of life, the upskilling people, or focusing on engagement, making sure that we've got residents that are actually engaged and excited or just interested in some things. Otherwise it's just sad, you know? And definitely looking at what we can maintain or what we can teach you. If we can't teach you, we can maintain the stuff you already have. So at least you can be doing that for yourself. Working on confidence. Okay. I think reduced need for support very much sings also with behavioural interventions, that it's focusing on increasing independence or maintaining independence. Whatever works for you, you know, how are we going to support you? I think also reduced injuries. So again, there's that proactive thing, looking at it and going, oh, that's a bit, so let's rather do this, creating opportunities, you know. And I think, you know, reducing physical strain is massive. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who will be talking about those kinds of things today, so I won't go into that too much. And I think reduced sick leave, turnover, and compensation claims is a huge area. I'm very passionate about empowering staff to feel motivated to be there, okay? To be able to help people feel good about what you're doing so you can help the next person, okay? If you have happy staff, you're going to have more happy residents. If you feel motivated, you're going to be more motivated, and that's going to spill over. And as we said earlier, if your behavior is impacting other people's behavior, if you're a positive, exciting person to be with, chances are people are going to want to spend time with you. Okay? So it's very important. So I thought I'd do a little recap before I move on fully onto my next slide. Okay? So we've spoken a little bit about terminology. So what behavior is, it's not a negative thing. It's just something that someone does. The environment, okay, that's how that's impacting the behavior. Someone's interaction with other people, places, smells. Reinforcement, what's strengthening that behavior, okay? And how maintaining skills is really important. Behavioral interventions can do that. There's a lot of evidence to show you, and I'll talk a little bit again later about that. So yeah, I thought, so where do we start? So we're excited. We know we got all this positive stuff, it's proactive, yes, great. So what do we do? Where do we start? We start with understanding why behavior is occurring. Why is this going on? I don't know. I walked into a room and now all of a sudden this behavior is happening. What is it? Okay, why is it occurring? And I think it's important for us to look at, so I say functions of behavior, it means the reasons for behavior, okay? So we need to maybe think about more about what is the behavior what is the message being communicated to us, rather than what does the behavior look like? Because we can describe what it looks like, okay? Someone's upset, someone's screaming, someone's throwing something, people will understand that. But what is the behavior trying to communicate to us? What is this person trying to say to me? Okay? And even some of the most senseless behaviors we feel, we see, we observe, make sense for the person who's exhibiting them. There is a reason someone is doing that. We don't understand it, but we might if we unpick it a bit. Okay? But it will serve a function for that person, a reason for that person. Okay? And understanding that is so powerful. Because if you can understand it, you probably can be more empathetic to it. Because you think, oh, I've actually felt a little bit like that. It may not look like this, but I might understand that a bit. And if I can understand it, I possibly can help you a bit more because I'm sitting in with more knowledge. Okay? So, I thought we'd talk about, let's go back there. I want people to try and guess, or actually have a go. So, there are a few, should I say, common functions, common reasons why people do things. Is there anybody got any ideas what they might be? It can be very simple. Reasons why we're doing things. Yes?
Environmental effects.
Yes? Yes? Absolutely.
Your emotional state.
Exactly. You know? Okay. Anybody else? So we got... Yes? Exactly.
Reinforcement.
Yes? Sorry?
Frustration.
Exactly. How we're feeling emotions, right? And we think we're so complicated, complex beings. We're so multi-layered. I'm here to tell you that we have 4 common reasons why we do things. Okay? We are so complicated. We're not, actually. Okay? There may be, so these are common ones, right? Okay, and I'll explain them so don't get stressed about what they're called. Unfortunately, my field likes awkward terms, so I have to tell them to you, but I'll explain them. Okay, so I put up everybody eats because everybody does eat, so it's easy to remember. So we've got 4 common ones. Sometimes we may have combinations of them. We may have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but ultimately, when you strip away all the clutter, it's actually very easy to understand why we do things. And hopefully, few slides in, you will feel the same as I feel about clarity of behaviors. Okay? So, escape, attention, tangibles, and sensory. Everybody eats. Okay? So we spoke about sensory pain, sensory things that are happening to me. Okay? Escape's quite a big one, and we all do it. I'll give you examples in a minute. We really all do it all the time. We give ourselves great reasons why we can't be doing certain things. Okay? So, anybody got any questions? You will have time at the end, but if you want to stop me now to say anything, you can? No? No takers? Okay. So, escape, attention, tangible, sensory. I'm going to say it a lot because it helps you remember. So, eats. Everybody eats. So, escape. We put it with avoidance because they sort of serve the same function. One is to avoid something that's temporary. I want to avoid that. This stop sign, this whatever. Escape means I'm going to do something so I don't have to do that at all. Okay? Do we engage in behaviors to get out of doing something? I certainly do. A lot. There's people we don't like. There's places we don't like. There's noises we don't like. Okay? There's certain smells we don't like. It's things that are aversive to us. They may not be aversive to other people, and that's why it's so interesting, again, why people are so different. And even though we may do the same behaviors, the reason we're doing them might be slightly different. Okay? And it's quite powerful when you realize, oh, I wonder why they're trying to escape that thing. And I'll give you an example. A lot of people at the beginning of the year, because I think a lot of people can relate to this. It's New Year's, we've got all these things we're going to do. We're going to get fit, we're going to get thin this year, we're going to cut out sugar, we're going to do all these amazing things that are good for us. And then the Monday comes, and we go, it's a bit rainy outside, so I might not go for that jog today, might not go to that gym. Going to convince myself that this is not the right day to start, because you know what, I'm not going to be successful. And if I'm not successful, then I might as well not start. Next week I'll be ready. Okay, everybody's done this. Everybody's done something like this, and everyone can relate to this. Okay, I'll give you an example. It's quite a great one. I used to work in a school, and I had a young man who hated sports. Oh, physical education. And if he saw one of the children get in their bag, that signified for him that sports was going to happen, lie on the floor. The whole sports session. Because he was like, well, they're not going to get me off the floor, are they? Successfully avoided sports. Okay? Some of these behaviors are incredibly effective at getting out of things. Okay? A lot of us will also avoid going to places we don't like the shops. Or we avoid people. You know, sometimes you see people you know and you don't really feel like it. So you quickly duck into the other aisle. The masks were great for that. You know, we could have avoided a lot of people, a lot of chit-chat we don't want to have that day. Okay, so everybody can relate to these things. And if we can see it in other people, we will use so much more in the power seat of that. Okay? So, attention, quite an obvious one, right? Do we do things, or does this resident do things to get more attention? Okay? And it could be positive or negative. On the journey here, we were talking a little bit about our work, and most of my experiences in schools. Not all of it, but quite a lot of it. And I go to schools and I see kids, and everyone says, he's very, very attention-seeking child, And I go, oh, okay, can I observe this young person? Watch them. And I'm like, well, the only attention they get is when they're naughty. So that's why they're naughty. We've taught them, in a way, we've shaped that behavior to be like, oh, when I'm naughty is the only time someone's telling me or giving me any attention. Not going when you're sitting nicely and doing your work, going, thank you for doing that. I'm so proud of you for doing this. Sure, look at that work. No, it's sit down. Why are you standing up? Why are you walking over there? No, come sit down. Okay? So it's kind of, and we're all social beings, even though some of us are less social than others. We are part of a collective. Human beings live together. So we all need attention. It's a basic human function, really. We need to be with each other. Okay? So you can understand why people do things for attention. Okay? Anybody got anything? People with me still? Okay. Tangibles. Weird word. Things that I can hold, right? Things that I can touch. That's just literally what it means. Physical things. Okay? So do they do things to get what they want? Am I going to scream at you and you bring me my favorite ice cream? Okay? And if you find it hard to communicate, you are going to struggle with this because you're not going to be able to tell people. Okay? And I think a lot of people get attention and tangibles very mixed up because sometimes when behavior presents, we get attention just because we're having the behavior. And then it becomes about attention, but it might not always be about attention in the first thing. So people think that things are attention-seeking, and sometimes I'll see people and I think, I don't know if it is attention. I think he kind of just wants to play soccer. He doesn't know how to ask. He was running for the ball. We stopped him, and then he got upset with us. But it's actually about the ball, Okay? So this is quite a big area. And again, if you struggle to communicate or you're not an effective communicator, you are going to struggle with this because you can't tell people what you need or want. And that's really hard and really horrible. Okay? And sad. I wanted to say, let me go back a little bit about attention. Sorry, I had an example that I forgot and I've just remembered. Attention-seeking behaviors are incredibly difficult to ignore. People think, I'm going to ignore this today. They won't get to me. And what you know about attention seekers or people who are motivated by attention, they're just going to escalate. It's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better. I promise you that. Okay? Because it's very difficult to ignore someone who's hanging from the light fittings. Okay? It's easy. It's also it's difficult to ignore when someone's screaming right in your face. Okay? So it's a very difficult function to deal with. Okay? So I always say, and I say this lightly because I had quite a lot of experience, but I don't ignore the person. I ignore the behavior I don't want to see. So if they're screaming, I'm like, come sit over here. So I'm not going to attend to you about whatever's happening. I'm still here. I'm just not going to give you attention for that because I don't like that. And I don't want to tell you because it'll give you attention. Like that. Knowing that I don't like that might also evoke some other attention-seeking behavior. Okay, so it's very complex. But again, if we're giving it in the right capacity and we're giving it proactively, before you start engaging in attention seeking, you're probably going to have less bad attention seeking behaviors. Okay, negative ones. Sorry, I just remembered. I went back. Okay, so sensory. Now this one's is interesting because it's the only one that isn't socially mediated. We don't need an audience to do this one. I don't need anybody else. I need myself. I've got an itch, I'm going to scratch it. Okay? I feel like playing with my hair, I'm going to go for it. Okay? So does it feel good to you? And again, because we're individuals, things are going to be different from every person. And because the field you're working with, the decline of certain fields, there's going to be things that change. Okay? Some of the senses go. You know, that different smells, and also we like and dislike different things. Okay? So I'm going to bring you back to our functions, because I want you to use it in a minute. So try and remember them. Okay, so escape. Are we trying to do things to get out of things? People ask us to do something, we run away. Or someone sends us a narky email and we ignore them. Or we avoid them. I didn't pretend I didn't receive that. I'm busy. Okay? Are we doing things for attention? And I'm not talking about behavior that's negative always, but it's sometimes easier to see the negative ones than it is to look at our ones that are, I don't want to say positive, but are maybe neutral. Are we doing things to get access to things? Or is it something sensory that's happening in us? Pain that we can't describe to other people because our communication isn't great. Or because we struggle to tell people where we saw or how uncomfortable we feel. Okay? So yes, escape, attention, tangible, sensory. Everybody eats. So try and remember them. Okay? We're going to move on. So, how can we use these functions to understand some of the residents better? The people that you're working with or indirectly working with. You're supporting people that are supporting them, or you're supporting them directly, or you have a family member who's suffering from dementia. Okay, because if we understand why, we're probably going to be better equipped to support them and understand and go, oh, that's actually really horrible. Okay? So, the next thing I think we need to talk about is also, like I said earlier, that your behavior has an impact.
I think your hair is rubbing on the mic.
Oh, is it me that's making a noise?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I move a lot, sorry. I've got a lot of sensory behaviors I need to get out. Okay? Our own behavior. So, we cannot change others' behavior without changing ours. Right? We are not going to change anything unless we're looking at ourselves first. What are we going to do that's changing? Because we can't expect everybody else to change, and we go, well, we're fine. Everything we do is perfect. Okay? We have to be looking at what we're doing that's having an impact, again, because the environment is us, where we're working, the people we interact with, the people we're supporting. Our behavior is having an impact on others too. Okay, so if we're not looking at ourselves and what we're doing and how we can alter that, we're not going to be successful. Okay, that's the biggest part of my job. Trying to go, but if you just try this, or if we just do it like this, please just come with me and try this. Even if you think it's not going to work, I really want you to try. Because trying is the first step. If you've already decided you want to do it, I don't know. Okay, so how are our behaviors influencing others? Are we aware that our behaviors are influencing others? Maybe not. And we are also very unaware of a lot of what we do. So if you ever seen a recording of yourself, which will be available for me to see a lot of, yay, I'll be seeing things and I go, oh, I didn't know I did that. Okay, because we're unaware of certain things we do. And the more you're aware of yourself, and what you're doing and where you're standing and how you're influencing, how you're speaking, you will definitely be more aware of other people's behavior. Okay, and also we know that the residents' behavior will have impact on other residents' behavior. Okay, sometimes it can be like a domino effect. This one's upset, then this one's upset because this one's upset, now everybody's upset. Okay, it's incredibly difficult to manage. But if we're also aware of when that might happen, we're looking at it going, oh, sometimes it happens when this. Okay, so let's take this person over here, and so that we don't have to deal with that right now, so everybody else can have a nice time. Okay? Because we need to be aware of everybody in the environment, not just one or two. Okay, and ourselves. Right? So I'm going back to it. Sorry, very repetitive, but this is how you remember. Everybody eats. Escape. Attention. Tangible. Sensory. Because I'm going to ask you to think about something in a minute. And I want you to think about these things to try and help you answer that question. And if you can't, that's fine. Okay, but I want you to start thinking about it because it might help you understand things better. Okay, so here's my practical bit. Can you think of a time where something didn't make sense to you, and now thinking about the reasons why behavior might be occurring, common reasons, not all reasons, okay, that maybe you're trying to think why that person was doing that. Does it fit in any of the functions? I'm going to leave you for a couple of minutes to think about it. If you want to ask me to unpick an example, please feel free, but I want you to try and think first. So I'll go back. So I want you to think of something that didn't make sense to you before that maybe now might start making sense to you. Okay, some behavior you observed, some situation you were in. It doesn't only have to be about residents and working with, it could be about your family, it could be about your kids, it could be about your friends. Okay? So I'm going to give it back to this one so we can see it. But I want you to think about it for a little bit. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I'm just going to have a drink of water. Thank you. And if anyone wants to ask anything, they can. Okay? When did I start? Okay, I need to move on. Okay, sorry to interrupt you. I'm realizing the time and I have to keep moving. So does anybody have anything they want to share, or does anybody feel that they might understand it better by having some of these clues to help you figure it out? Yeah? Anybody want to share anything? Or does anybody want me to try and unpick something? Because I'll ask questions. So you better be able to answer them. No, I'm joking. Yeah? Yes, hi.
I've been tasked to give you
Yes,
information.
fantastic.
We have a German resident in frail care
Okay.
who struggles with depressive sort of
Mm-hmm.
emotions. And we had a volunteer
Mm-hmm.
in after quite a while of her being a resident who actually went and sat with her and gave her some, just some one-on-one attention. And then she started speaking in German and her mood just lifted. So we were just thinking about the attention aspect
Of course.
and she has been okay since then. I think she needs that a bit more. Unfortunately, she's in Germany now. But
Bless her. Yeah.
yes, so
Amazing. Okay.
it's as simple as that.
Exactly. And you'd be surprised, it sounds like just like a drop. And it's like poof. Anybody else? Thank you. Yes.
Escape attention.
Uh-huh.
Actually, now I understand, because I do have a resident who keeps ringing the bell. When you get there, can you please pick up my stick? There's always something.
Yes.
Then you get irritated. And then you tell the person, stop ringing. You keep ringing.
Yes.
It shows that it's attention.
Of course, because it's being reinforced.
So
Every time I ring the bell, someone comes and tells me off. It's great, someone's here. Fantastic. What a good result for me, right? Okay, so thank you, that's great. I think avoidance is one and escape is huge. We want things to be nice, okay? We don't want unpleasant things. We don't want things to be too difficult for us. Some people are, but people who run marathons and such, I don't understand, right? But if it's too difficult or we don't like certain people, we are going to avoid those situations. Like I mentioned earlier, let's say you have a resident who's very noisy and very, gets very upset very quickly. Other residents will probably want to avoid spending time with this resident, okay? And you might not know what it is, but all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, they'll avoid that activity with that person. Yeah. And it'll start making sense to you. And if you can alter those things to make sure that person's successful, and I'm not saying when they are having problem behavior, I'm saying preventatively, proactively. Okay, so every Tuesday morning we do, puzzle time. We have puzzles out, and this person avoids it because, whoever's there, Bob. So now we know that maybe Bob can have another group, or, we can have set it up in another room so that this person doesn't miss out, okay? But they still get access to those things, okay? So thank you. I think also, I think it's difficult for us sometimes because we have a big, extensive toolkit of tolerating skills. Sometimes it's harder for us to understand because we find things quite easy to tolerate. Well, we're better at it than some people. If you are impaired in any way, or if you're cognitive, there's a decline, your tolerating skills are going to be like zero. So imagine how difficult it might be for you, for this person. I'm, saying if I was really impaired, it would be very difficult for me because I have little skills left. So it might be more difficult for me. And if we can understand that, we can support you better to be able to be more successful, right? Okay. So,
sorry?
Yes.
But avoidance is not helping the person.
Yes, it isn't.
So, how do you go about to change it? Because it can be actually from both sides.
Of course, absolutely.
And from the caregiver.
Absolutely. I think, it's very difficult to answer because of course, we don't want people to avoid things forever.
Because we have a situation where somebody, when it starts getting time for them to get dressed into their pajamas, then this one person keeps on asking, what about me? Aren't they going to help me? Aren't they going to help me? Then you explain to her, no, it's just that I help the person first that's unable to help. But now the care workers ignore her completely. And that's worsening. She will continue and continue asking for that. So the thought is to let them help her first. Then
it sounds to me, the way you're describing it, and I may be completely wrong, it sounds like it's more attention-based.
Yeah.
So there's ways and means you can deal with that. And I because of the nature of what I'm doing, I would love to, but also ethically, I would need to know more detail to be able to really unpick and give advice. So I try not to give advice because I don't know the intricacies, right? And if I tell you to do something and it goes haywire, then, it's not great for me. Absolutely. But something you could do, because you can enrich the environment, you could give them attention while I'm going to be with you in a minute. Should we sing a song while I'm helping, I don't know. Okay? So that there's ways that you can get attention proactively with under my, I don't want to say consent, it's not the right word, but with under things that I think are appropriate. Okay, so you're not ignored, so you don't have to escalate your problem behavior to anything else. So I've got the lowest level of the attention-seeking behavior. Okay, and I might be able to help you because you're not going to be distracting me from kind of continue with my what I'm supposed to be doing now. But it does sound like it's attention. Okay, so I put one in because I thought it was quite a common one, but an example of a resident who avoids their hygiene routine. Okay. I think it is quite common. I think that people avoid doing things for multiple reasons, and maybe we'll understand some of the reasons more with our eats. Okay, but we might see different types of behaviors. Okay, so through understanding the reason why, the function, we might be able to support and plan better. Okay, so we're going to look at planning. But before we start even having a map of where we're going, I don't know if it is me, is that we need to spend some time getting to know our resident very well. And I know that you know your residents well. I'm not saying that you don't. But sometimes we think we know them, and we don't. Okay? What are they like? What do they dislike? And this is going to alter again. Remember, cognitive stuff is changing. Likes and dislikes are changing. So we need to keep in mind of that. Some things you love, you might not love forever. We as human beings, our motivation fluctuates. If I say to you, here's a whole bar of chocolate, and you eat the whole bar and then I offer you another bar, you're probably not going to want it. Okay? Our motivation is fluid. It fluctuates all the time. Okay? And if you find it difficult to talk and you find it difficult to do things, this is going to be even harder for you. So I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. Okay? But you have to know. Or if you don't know, you have to be certain in that moment, in that time. Okay? And this comes from observing, assessing, trying out things, seeing what's happening there. You know to know their abilities and strengths. And again, this is going to change, unfortunately. Okay? It is part of the dementia diagnosis. Okay? And preparation and consistency is very, very, very important. I could be doing the best job in the world. If someone next to me is not doing it, not going to have much impact. Because we have to have a consistency amongst us. We have to agree on the consistency, we have to do it, and we have to be planned to do it. If we're not prepared and we're not consistent, you are going to get nowhere. I promise you that. Because I know my population is different, but I used to take lots of kids out in London, in a group for a school trip. And if we were unprepared, okay, it would be a disaster. Because I had aggressive children, and they don't care who's in their way. Okay? So you have to be very prepared, and you have to all the staff that are there have to be consistent on what's going to happen. And we support each other. If you can't, I will. Okay? But we have to agree on that. And we have to make the most of it. If we can engage with people, why not? You'll feel better, they'll feel better, everything will be nicer. I know it's difficult to have energy and be excited about stuff, especially day after day after day. You know, it is difficult. But it is rewarding if you are in that mindset. To go, whoa, what are we going to do today? This is exciting. Okay, let's go. You keep the mood up, the mood will stay up. No one else is going to bring that mood for you. I've been into many situations where it's like, okay, much like this. Not that you guys, but when you talk, you have to be animated. You have to be interesting. Otherwise, people are going to be like, oh, this babe came to speak and she's not very interesting. Okay? It has to be interesting. You have to be interested in what I'm saying. I have to sell it to you. Okay? And I have to bring energy and excitement, even though I may have been up very early this morning. Okay? So, where do we start? We start where we are. Sounds obvious, but we can't be doing the objective 6 months' time. We're not there. We're here. Right? We've got a vision of where we're going. We've got the map of where we're going there, and I'm going to explain planning in a minute. But we have to start where we are. We can't run before we crawl. Okay? And if we're not starting where we are, and we're not starting in the real time, what's really happening, we're not going to be successful where we're going. Because we can't leap 4 steps. Okay? And the key to this is achievable small steps. Not massive jumps. It's like, okay, we're here, and then when we're working here, and then when we're good with that, then we move here. So we've got a tiny little step, and then we move. People that people that run marathons don't run the marathon on day 1. People that learn languages don't learn languages on the day 1. It's a slow burn, it's a slow build. You slowly build up the skills. You slowly expect more and more of yourself. And that's what we need to be doing. That's how human beings are successful. We're not looking at the huge mountain. We're looking at this tiny step in front of us. And if we focus on that step, we will be successful in that step. Okay? Obvious, but true. Okay, so some things to consider. I've spoken about with and without support, strengths, and things we're good at and things we're not so good at. I don't like to say weaknesses, just don't. Okay? Do we have a record of what people are able to do for consistency? You know, are we able to? Because sometimes we don't get a chance to talk to each other as staff because we're busy, right? We're all very busy. We've got stuff to do. We've got places to go. We've got things to do. We're trying to get through our day, okay? Snack time. We need to eat. We need fuel, okay? But if we have a reference to share with everybody going, this is what they did today. This is the level they did it, how I supported. It's so much easier to transfer that to the next person and expect them to do the same. Okay, consistency and skill transference is vital. Okay, is there a specific way that we do it that's more successful? Some of our people that have been in an organization or a place for longer have the tips to these. Okay, and if they share them with you, feel honored because you'll be able to use it and pass it on to other people. Okay, that's what we do. We share the load, share the celebrations. Okay, so because if there's a specific way to be doing it that's more successful, wouldn't we all rather be doing it that way? Okay, easiest, most efficient, least intrusive. Okay, do we do it in the same order every time? Okay, because repetition can be very comforting. And you never know what you might be teaching or you might be maintaining there. Okay, so the skills, being able to transfer that to other people and share that with other people and document it in the easiest way. I'm not talking about essays. No one's got time for that. Okay, so that we can see that there's maintenance or progress. And if there isn't, that's when we need to be looking also. This is how it's going to show us. It's going to show us what's happened, you know, the information we have. It's going to show us where the gaps are. Okay? Everyone still with me? Okay. So what is our goal? So our example is someone who avoids their hygiene routine, who avoids showering. So what do we want? Where's our long-term goal? Where's the mountain we're looking at that we're going to climb? You know, maybe it's something like, and I've put it really long-winded, but the resident will participate in the showering routine and have a positive experience. As independently as you can and have a positive experience. Great, fantastic. Okay, so we've got our starting point. You know, we show them maybe an image of the shower and we say, we're going for a shower, or it's time for a shower, or however you deliver the information, okay? And then we go to the next steps. So I'm going to give you some examples, okay? So I've got it's fairly simple, okay? So this is where we document who was there, what time it happened, what day of the week it was, okay? Don't worry, also, if you'd like, I can share the slides so you can have them if you'd like, okay? And then we've got skills, which is our second column, doesn't have a label, sorry. Okay, so what are we working on? Are we walking to the bathroom? Are we assisted to the bathroom? Are we aided with equipment or staff members? Okay, who did what? So we can see that there's people are doing the same sort of things, and that is equipment needed or required? Because it might be. Okay, and is it going to help us be more independent? Or as independent as we can be. Because again, we're all individuals, so what it looks like for independence for me is very different from other people. Okay? But this helps you have consistency. And it's not very complicated. It looks complicated, it's not. Okay, once you have one, you use it. Done. Print off a new sheet. I'm not saying you all need to use this, but I'm saying this is a way of seeing. Is there maintenance of skills? Are we able to have consistency? I'm seeing very different things that you are from your resident. What are you doing here that you're getting more independent than me? So we can have more consistent assistance, support, okay? And repetition, okay? We can see that we're doing the same thing in the same order. We never know what we might be teaching or maintaining. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about enriching the environment. So when I say enriching the environment, I mean, how are we going to make it positive? Okay, what are we going to use so that if this is difficult for you, that we can desensitize it? It doesn't have to be so traumatic. Okay, so are there the favorite things that you like that we can use? Is there the music that you like? Is it certain smells? And if you are sight or smell impaired, we need to focus on our tangible and auditory stuff. Vice versa, right? So we need to be using those things so that it can be more positive You know, it's time for a shower. You know what, I've got your music. Play the music while we're going to the shower. Okay? Now you don't even know. It's not as traumatic because there's something nice to distract us. We all do this. When I clean my house, I don't just clean my house. I listen to music, or I listen to a podcast. I've got something to entertain me. It's not unusual for us to be doing these things. Might make you feel a bit better too that there's a bit of music. Okay? You can enjoy the experience too. Okay? Anything that can be making things more positive, let's give it a shot. Yes, it increases engagement. We want residents to be as engaged as possible. Okay? That's a great outcome. Oh, you look happy to be here. You're happy. It's this music's playing. Okay? We're having a shower. Now we've had this. It's great. Okay? So increasing engagement. And I'll give you an example. There's a paper by some behavior analysts and interventionists who talk about how they use some interventions to increase engagement with some residents with dementia. Okay? And I've referenced at the end again. But they use preference assessments. Now, preference assessment sounds like a long thing. It's not. It's just an assessment of your preferences. Okay? So you either I ask you what you like, if you're able to tell me, or I say, can you choose some things? And they're in front of you and you choose them. Okay? So I know what you like because I've asked you and I've seen it and I know. Okay? And they used those, they gave them, so they said, choose something that you like. And they said, well, you can have puzzles or you can have music. Okay, so they know that the choice, and if they don't understand it, they have visuals or whatever's appropriate for the resident. And then they said, well, it's available in the music room. Okay, so it's helping in choice making. And what they found was the reminders, the choices of the favorite things you like, and the reminders that they're available increased engagement. These people started going and interacting with other residents. It was a byproduct, great byproduct. Okay, and you know, sometimes we have things like equipment, but if it could be incredibly stimulating, but what if it's met with resistance? What if we don't understand why you don't want to try things? And if we can use things that you like to desensitize certain things, we will be more successful. Okay? And just here's it's sort of an explanation in a graph. Graphs are nice because you can see, you don't have to talk about data, but bland. But we can see that, so the baseline is there's no intervention. So this is before they started finding out what these residents liked, before they told them they were available, before they offered the reminders that they were available. Okay, so we had like what, 16, 17% there of engagement? Not so great. Okay, we have a little blip on, I think, day 5, which is nice. But then you can see it goes down. It's zero engagement. Okay, and there's an intervention. Literally, would you like this or this? It's in this room. Went up to almost 100% of engagement. Okay, very simple. It's actually not complicated. You don't need a behavior analyst to really tell you this. But we sometimes need to understand the tools to be able to do it. Actually, actioning it's not difficult. But someone's nice has done the research for us, so we know it's effective and it's easy to replicate, so we can do it. Great. Okay. And there's a lot more studies to evidence behavioural intervention supporting people with dementia and having great results, because we understand behaviour and we understand why behaviour might be occurring, and we understand the strategies to encourage more positive things. So it's a win-win. Okay, and we like training other people to be able to do it. Okay. So if we're looking at combining behavioural knowledge and planning and equipment, so we're sitting in our behavioural understanding of why it's occurring, or we have a rough idea of might be occurring, okay? It's escape, or it's attention, okay? We have an objective. We'd like them to engage with the hygiene routine, and we have the steps to getting there. We have a plan. We know what the steps are. We've discussed it as a team. We've agreed on it. It's easy to follow. It's not difficult. And we can introduce and further enrich these things by maybe using equipment or other things that can further aid in engagement, because you're able to access more. Okay? I just thought I'd put this in here because I quite like that they spoke about improving efficiency, because it can be a huge a thorn in our side to improve how efficient are we going to be in our day. Okay? And I think sometimes if we can make our lives easier in certain ways, we should be doing it. Okay, so focusing on what we're people, collective. That's what we do. Okay, we're in this field because we care about other people. Okay? And so if we can engage with them and spend more time with them, why not? Okay? So, just a quick summary that I have chatted a bit about behavioural interventions, what it looks like. Okay? We've spoken about quite a lot about reasons that behaviours are occurring, functions, common ones. Okay? We've looked at how we can maybe have a goal. Okay, and again, a goal needs to be realistic, okay? We can't be choosing, like me going, I'm running the comrades, okay? No, not realistic for Lauren. Okay, so our goals have to be realistic, okay? So, and the plan has to be realistic. And if something happens, that's okay, because you have the plan. If it takes us longer to sit in step 2 for 3 weeks, so what? We sit in step 2. Sometimes I said it's the slow burn that actually gets you there. It's not the big steps. So it's little steps in between. Okay, and also enriching the environment, using equipment and training. Okay, we need to enrich the environment with positive things. If we want to be there more, we're probably going to have happier residents. Okay? And increasing engagement's massive and can be done a lot. I'm not saying it's going to be a piece of cake, but once you get it established, it'll be so much, it'll feel so good to do it. And you'll see happier residents, so you'll feel good. Okay? Cool, that's me, guys. I have some questions. If anybody wants to ask any questions or anything, comments, I'm happy to answer. Anything you can ask? No? Yes.
I just think a comment.
Yes.
That's such a nice, practical, simplified way of thinking about everything. So thank you.
Thank you.
It was really,
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody feel a bit overwhelmed by understanding what behaviour might mean? You'll start looking at your own stuff now and you'll be like, I didn't know I did that. Okay?
Yeah, I think the other thing that's important is, the baby steps that you take and actually celebrate.
Absolutely.
We often forget we do these things, but we don't celebrate the little things.
Absolutely.
You lose focus and you lose.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Part of the process.
Exactly. I worked with a young man and he didn't ever speak. So we were like, oh, he's never going to speak. That's just what he does. He doesn't speak. So we taught him to sign and we taught him to exchange with pictures and things like this. And then one day we were beavering away. He used to say some sounds. Okay. So we kept trying to get him to say the sounds. And then one day he said a word and we were all like, because we didn't know where it was going to go. But we kept trying because, we just never know where we will land up. So we've got to keep trying. And it's hard to stay motivated and excited about this stuff, but if we don't try our best, we're never going to feel really good about what we do.
Even I didn't understand back then. Now I understand when we talk about likes and dislikes.
Yes.
Changes. Mr. Foss, when you're making toast, you have to make it really, really toasted and
burnt.
Crusty.
Yeah.
So this day I'm making the toast.
Yes.
And then his daughter said, no, my daddy doesn't eat a toast like that. So she said, no, you don't stay here. This is my toast. So now I understand.
Yes. Yes.
They changes.
Absolutely.
So you need really to
of course.
Know your recipe.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'll leave you then. But if you want to ask, yes, hi.
Maybe I just need help. I've got a resident. He wants to sleep 24/7.
Yeah.
He can walk. He can see. He doesn't want to go to shower. He doesn't want to eat. When you try to say, okay, wake up and sit and I'm not going anywhere. I'm ready to die. That's the story every day.
Bless
he doesn't
him.
want to do anything.
Of course.
So the time you end up feeding him because you put the food there, you won't eat.
or if you don't work him up to 6, you won't work up.
Of course. And it sounds like there's low motivation. And I mean that as it's not, I don't know what you like, so I can't use it. You see? Because I often meet people and they go, oh, they don't like anything. They like nothing. And you think, okay, well, that's a great start. So I spend a lot of time just seeing, and I mean like interacting with them with activities and things, just to see if you look at something a little bit, go, okay. Because sometimes you might not want to show me what you like. Because sometimes if I show you I like things, you might expect me to do something. And I don't want to do that. You see? So it's sometimes very difficult to work with people who have low motivation. Because you can't find anything they like, so you can't use anything to motivate them. Okay? But I'm here to tell you it is possible. I have done it with incredibly difficult people, but I've always found something. But I'm like a dog with a bone. I don't want to give up. So I'll keep trying because I don't want to stop. And through trying, I found that I actually found something. So I don't want you to feel demotivated, but I think that try different things that they might quite, even if he's in bed, try different things that he's there, he can access to see if there's anything. And you can try and use those things. So you can use them accompanying, doing other activities and things. And even if it's he's eating and he likes to listen to some music and you start feeding him, then you might just put the food on and then just see if he might pick it up. So that you can encourage that. So you can, and it's like you don't even ask. There's not even like, okay, it's time for you to, you just don't say anything. You just leave it with you and see what might happen. Because I just want to say another thing. I think sometimes we fill the space with us talking. Okay? And I mean that in the sense that we think by asking questions and we think that by speaking, we're going to get more out of people. And I like to talk. Steve will verify that a lot. I like to talk a lot. But when I work with other people, I try not to talk a lot. Because I want to leave space for their voice. And I get more out of them if I don't engage too much. I go, oh, I don't ask questions. I go, oh, this is really nice. Sure, look at that. Okay. And then I sort of don't say anything. Because I don't want to go, oh, do you like that? Did you see that? Look at that color. What color is this? Okay. It's a lot. There's a lot of demands in there. So we need to be mindful of the way we interact with people sometimes can be quite demanding. And I don't mean that because you are demanding. It can be demanding for that person. Okay, and I work with a lot of people who don't speak. Right? So there's no noise. There's nothing. There might be noises, they make noises, but they're not going to suddenly say to me, you know, Lauren, I actually really watched this film and it was great, and you know, my favorite actor, nothing. So it's a lot of like silent communication, and I'm waiting for opportunities for them to have a space. And if we don't create that space or be mindful of that, we're probably not going to see it. Okay? It's very, very hard because a lot of you guys are vibrant social people. So you like it. You like to talk. You like to be there. You like to motivate people and feel excited. And you know, sometimes it's easier just to talk and fill the space because you feel better and you go, oh, you know. But sometimes that doesn't have the positive impact we'd like it to have. Okay.
Can I say something about your resident? And also, if it's okay, I'm going to share you a helicopter story. We had an online conference last year on the 18th of May. And by the way, it's still there. It's still on YouTube, and you can find it and you can attend all of the sessions. But one of the sessions was with Ilse from Residentia, and it was titled How to Implement a Person-Centered Care Approach. Okay, and the story which Ilse told was revolving around the Know Me Better tool, okay, the holistic assessment tool of the likes, the dislikes, the beliefs, everything, which way the hair goes, for example. And they had a resident that was admitted in a very poor shape, no lust for life. Okay, very similar to what I'm hearing from your resident. And what Ilse did is referred back to the Know Me Better tool. And what was on this lady's bucket list? The thing she wanted most in her long life was to take a helicopter ride. So Ilse put a plan in place with her caregivers to motivate her. You are able to walk around the block 5 times. and you put on 5 kilograms, I'm not sure that those are the exact stats, but we will give you a helicopter ride. Guess what? Her mind shift changed. She had a goal. Remember, old, elderly people fear helplessness, loneliness, and boredom. And we've got to overcome each one of those 3 elements. And purpose is the opposite of boredom. Okay? So if we implement a goal, we're going to have an outcome. Okay? So maybe that helps. Try and find out or set a goal for the resident so he's a little bit more motivated to get up, get dressed, show up, and be part of what's going on. So yeah, Lauren, that was superb. I think everybody has gotten something out of it. I do hope it contributed value to the day. And yeah, thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks. Should I just...
So, we are 10 minutes ahead of schedule, which is a good thing. It means we'll have more time at the end. I'd invite you to get up, go take a walk outside, get some air, go to the loo, have a body break, and we're due to start again at 11:15. Okay.